That works. A wooden Muppet flying Miku with human-like hands. You know, something cute and totally not nightmare fuel. Yeah, 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 exactly. It's not nightmare fuel at all. You push yourself out the window of an ancient classroom, clutching a musty tome of Vivamancy magic, and land with a roll on the cobblestone path below. Above you, it seems to be night, and you're momentarily confused. How are you seeing stars when stars have been obscured by clouds for over 2,000 years? But then you realize the twinkling lights must be flecks of quartz in the rocky ceiling above, reflecting the light of the magical street lamps below. Those street lamps continued to shine even when the neighbor's magic pulled this academy underground. They shone underground while above ground, Abraxas walked the earth and declared that magic was forbidden. They illuminated this ancient place of learning, while everywhere else wizards were put to sword. I read the title like a voice in Mortal Kombat. Yeah, I'm also very excited, Lamont, to see where this goes. Because I basically what I did was when you recommended the choice of games, you got me into like a research fixation. Which what I did was I then just started Googling, hey, what are people's favorites of these types of games? And I found like 5 of them. And this was one of them that I thought was interesting, was also on like the recommended list. If you go into options, you can increase the font size. I didn't do we want it even more increased? Do we want the font even more increased? I increased it a few times, but do we want it more increased? What's the thought on current font size? I had my screen swallowed. That might have been on me. I mean, how does everyone feel about the font size right now anyway? Because I can increase it, I think, more. But if you all are fine with it, I'll keep it this way. Or if you just don't care about the font size and you're just listening, that is also fine too. It's fine for me. All right. I'll leave it for now. You still can't believe your luck in finding this academy before the church did. When you and Tal began following her bounty, a great burrowing worm, you had no idea it would burrow all the way to the sunken academy and its long-buried treasures. Tal slew the worm, and its final thrashes collapsed the tunnel behind you. But apparently not before an Inquisitor followed you inside as well. He must have been shadowing you until you got your hands on this tome of magic, whereupon he shouted that you were under arrest, and here you are, more or less. I was like you and you eat it. All right, that's fine. Trying to do nails. Okay. Okay, Bobby's ignoring you. You have no idea how the Inquisitor found you in the first place. Sometimes the church has an uncanny knack for knowing things. You're not a wizard yet, but you're not sure the Inquisitor cares about this technicality. He probably wants you dead. Tal prepares to jump from the same second floor window you did. Her fingers move to her eye patch as if she's worried she will misjudge the distance. She hesitates a moment too long, and the Inquisitor's crossbow bolt lodges itself in her leg. Tal grunts in pain, leaps forward with her good leg, and lands ungracefully, faltering because of the wound. Are you alright? You ask her. Meh. Gritting her teeth, Tal jerks the bolt out from between pieces of her black leather armor, ignoring the trickle of blood that results. I'm fine, but I might have a little trouble climbing up to that open window over there. Which is too bad, because it seems like it's our best escape route. She nods to the tome in your hands. Anything in there that can help? I'm certain of it, you say eagerly. You open up Prefata Vivomantia, or Introduction to Vivomancy, the tome that you managed to peruse a bit before the Inquisitor shows up. You recall a warning in the book's preface: the magic of life may have unintended consequences. Well, isn't that true of everything in life? Yeah, that is also the thing I like, is that people aren't missing anything just by listening. Options. Heal Tog's legs so we can keep running into the ancient dueling ground ahead where we can make our stand. Sprout wings and carry Tal to a high dome window where there's something glittering. Part the wooden wall of the buildings next to us, dash inside, and reseal the wall. So here's my thought process here, right? I feel like sprouting wings is kind of a big first step to do here. And I don't think it necessarily, I think that makes things potentially worse for us in the future. Like, as cool as it might be, I think it might give us a detriment here in the future. I think I'm gonna go with the first option and just try to like heal their leg. I'm not doing the reseal of the wall. Like, what's the Telltale Heart or whatever? That's what they did. They hid it under the floorboards. No, what was the one? What's the Edgar Allan Poe one where they like sealed a guy inside of a cave? What's the name of that one? Is it called just The Tomb or something? Sprouting wings is, yeah, it's definitely a weird solution to the your friend having injured legs. I feel like it's The Tomb of something. I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's like the Edgar Allan Poe story where like they seal the person under the like inside of a cave. Oh well. Let's heal the leg. I can heal you, you say to Tal. Hang on. Listen to the sounds of nature about you and feel the invisible strands that connect you to everything. Wait, you're going to magic me? You distantly hear Tal say, but the roar of life in your ears quickly drowns her out. You thrust a hand towards the ground and draw on the power of life. The Mount of Costco or something. I don't know if that's the one. The smell of fresh cut grass fills your nose as you embrace the power of Iromancy. You murmur the words of power from your book, and beams of light shoot from your hand to the ground, illuminating tiny living motes that swim through the air towards your hand. When your hand feels warm enough, you clap at the Tal's leg, startling her, and push the magic power into her. Tal remains stiff as the power flows to her. When you withdraw your hand, it's wet with her blood, and you worry that you stopped too soon. But parting her leather armor pieces, a torn fabric underneath reveals a wound has closed entirely, gained Viromancy. In the future, do you want to know when skills change? Yes, I do. Monte Cristo. Oh, yeah. That makes more sense than the Mount of Costco. Tomb of Mount of Costco. You did it, Tal says awed. You then feel slight queasiness, apparently some of your own life power to dispel. Somehow, you had hoped the unpredictability of Iromancy would be even more whimsical. Are you alright? Tal asks. You look unsteady. I'm fine, you say. Come on, let's keep moving. Why did you choose to heal, Tal, for your first spell? No, AI gave bad advice. The story is the Cask of Amontillado. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one I'm thinking of, not the Tomb of... I was thinking like the Tomb of Agamemnon or something. That was close. Cask of Amontillado, that's the one. Why'd you choose to heal Tal for your first spell? I figured it would be useful to have you be able to run. But also, like, I don't want to see you in pain. But, like, more than that, I feel like it would be useful if you could, like, move. This probably won't be the last time you both need to be physically fit, you reason. Better to heal Tal now. Increase calculation. I'm gonna avoid saying the like increased stats or whatever. I think I'd rather just have this read. Smoother. You and Tal run across the grass until you come to a circular plaza made of obsidian. Here there are two long dead skeletons. One who fell at the edge of the obsidian wears a crisp navy duelist uniform with gold epaulets. No doubt preserved by magic. The skull is missing. The other skeleton wears black robes and has fallen on the grass just next to the first skeleton. You inspect the two skeletons for any weapons you could use in a fight against the Inquisitor. In the pocket of the black-robed one, you find a note with the following words. L'amor, velocia omnes, cleos venom. Negation, nihilo. You're in luck. This student was apparently going to cheat in a duel by using glamour magic to convince the enemy not to attack, followed by negation magic to blow the opponent's head off, and they've left you the cheat sheet for the magic words. You gather from the skeleton's poses that the obsidian must be anti-magic. The black-robed student ran off it, and the duelist student followed, only to have his or her head disintegrated. Perhaps the duelist managed to resist the glamour and run the cheater through. But with what? Inspecting the duelist skeleton, you realize your luck is even better. In its hand is a black cylinder. You pick it up and urge the blade to appear. A 3-foot-long cylindrical blade of bright blue light appears and emits a faint hum. You experimentally wave it around. Vroom, vroom, vroom. It's a Lux Gladius, an ancient sword of light. Your dream has always been to be a wizard, not a duelist. Glamour magic is always accompanied by a slow deterioration of health known as rot, while negation magic leaves behind deadly clouds that may disturb the dark sun in ways you don't understand. Who knows what viromancy may lead to? This, on the other hand, arguably, is a fine weapon. Wow, Tal says admiringly. Hey, here he comes. You know how to use that thing? Taco Bell is getting secured? Hell yeah. It's a lightsaber. Lux Gladius, exactly. So, nope, give Tal the Lux Gladius, but try to use a Glamour weapon to get the Inquisitor to leave peacefully. Nah. Don't need it. Give Tal the Lux Gladius and cast a bolt of negation magic at the Inquisitor. Nah. Let's fight him. Wait, what? Tal says as you run and charge the Inquisitor. Seeing you sort of like the Inquisitor panics and runs from you. Let him go. Tal cries. We don't want to be Inquisitor murderers. We really don't. Alright, go ahead. Hell yeah, fight him. Yeah, we'll let him go. We don't want to be murderers like 4 pages in. Just scare him a little bit. You let the Inquisitor run. There's no need to be cruel. If the church comes after you later, they'll at least know you spared this man. Yeah, okay. Okay, well. I see the route Amenity wants us to take. Give him something to cry about. With the Inquisitors dealt with, you return your attention to the skeletons. You could wear their clothing if you like, the duelist uniform with the black robes. They might be magical. But first, you consider whether you prefer your current appearance. What do you look like? Bookish and spectacled, rugged and adventurous, a snappy dresser, popular around town. I dress in all black. Well, technically I'm 2 of these. Technically, I do often look bookish. I am spectacled, but also I do dress in primarily all black. So I am 2 of these. But I like the idea of bookish and spectacled. I think that's a better image we can give off here. I am bookish and spectacled. Yes. You're a bit wan from spending so much time indoors reading, and a bit slight from spending all your money on books instead of snacks. But you do possess an item that stands out a bit. What's that? Yeah, I think bookish and spectacle definitely fits the coffee shop vibes better. Also, I'm being slowly forced out of not just wearing black all the time. What do I possess? A giant black floppy hat to go with my black robes. A dress like a fairy tale witch. Giant black hat, black dress. A hat with a big jaunty feather. A shimmering cloak, cute, clever skirts I stitch myself. A brilliant green dress and an ancient pendant, both from my grandmother. I like the cloak idea. The hat's funny too. I do like the hat. I'm gonna go with the cloak. Shimmering cloak. Your study of the ancients has led you to many a ruined city. Taco Bell, hell yeah. Your study of ancients has led you to many ruined ancient city. Most of the time, these excursions were fruitless, as the church had already picked over and destroyed what magic items remained at these old sites. But your cloak seemed to blend in with its surroundings a bit. Perhaps that's why the Inquisitors missed it. It's not a fabled cloak of invisibility by any means, but wearing it does give you a bit of a regal bearing, so that's nice. Ironically, the grays you wear underneath the cloak tend to be somewhat drab. You are bookish, after all. And what sort of nouns do you prefer? Why the royal titles? No reason. I guess the official lore for everybody, because I know I've been asked this question a lot. Technically, when it comes to pronouns, I go by any of them. Doesn't really matter to me. I don't have like a particular preference one way or another. I will say I am more neutral presenting, but if I lean more on the masculine side in terms of presenting, and my voice would match that. But if I had to pick one to go by all the time, it would be they them. But again, you can use any for me. It doesn't matter. You take the black robes and the duelist uniform from the skeletons. What did you want to wear? My duelist uniform. I'm so charismatic, don't you know? No, I like the black robes. Subtlety and negation. You decide to wear your black robes. I must admit, you do look kinda badass, Tal says. Tal herself never puts much effort into her own appearance. Her hair turned silvery gray at a young age, and she refused to dye it. She keeps it in a short ponytail, probably lopping it off with a sword when it gets too long. Her pronounced cheekbones have a few scars from fights with monsters, but she's never applied any cosmetics to conceal them. You're not even certain a dress has ever graced her wiry frame. You know Tal could put more effort into her appearance, but you're also fairly sure she doesn't give a damn. Maybe Tal figures her appearance is a lost cause since she has to wear an eye patch. You'd think she'd be wrong about that, but you two don't talk about it. How's it feel to get compliments from Tal? I'm liking how Tal sounds. They're definitely, I do like their vibe that they give off. They're pretty cool. I'm always interested in getting compliments from ladies. Alright. I'm used to having Tal check my appearance before a date with a guy. I'm interested in getting romantic attention from anyone. I have no use for romantic attention of any kind. I don't ever want to have sex, but I might want to go on dates. I mean, if you're asking me as well, again, for lore perspective, for those of you who don't know, I'm demisexual, which is like emotional attachment leading to those sorts of things, which isn't necessarily listed here. But I mean, like, I guess if I had to say, it would just be anyone, right? Like, it doesn't matter. I don't really. Let's go with. I don't want to have sex, but I might want to go on dates. I think that's a good one. Check. No sex, but that doesn't mean you wouldn't enjoy some romance and cuddles. Who would you prefer to do that with? Either. Doesn't matter. Gotta keep an open mind. Maybe Tal and you will date someday. Maybe you'll date Mayor Koss instead. He's cute. Who knows? Following the building on the right, you go further down the green until you encounter a small door labeled Bibliovaltus Curatores, library staff. Sort of the game letting you decide your backstory, but I like how open these games tend to be with. Yeah, exactly. Like I do enjoy how, even from the very beginning, in terms of your story and who you are, there's a huge amount of customizability to it. Even though you're not like necessarily like picking exactly what your character looks like a Baldur's Gate type of thing, but you are able to give them just like there's a lot of inclusivity when it comes to that. Library. You try the door, but it's locked. Seeing a reasonable solution, you fire up your Lux Gladius and slice through the door hinges and lock. The heated metal, glowing orange, drips down and becomes unstable. Then, Tal gives the door a good solid kick and it falls down with a bang. The staff room is dark but full of twinkling little eyes. Descendants of the librarians as cats have apparently spent generations in the small office, living off some automation-powered water and food bowls in the corner. You think you see about 20 long-haired cats in the darkness, on the desks, on the bookshelves, tucked in the drawers and boxes. The cats form a continuous shaggy carpet in the small office. Getting to the other door, presumably leads to the library proper, would require stepping on a lot of cats. One cat hisses at you, the rest joining in. For the record, I'm not killing cats, Tal says. I didn't suggest it, you say. But your eyes alight on a few mangled cat corpses near the food bowl, suggesting the cats themselves are quite feral. I mean, if we could cast a glamour, it might work on cats, and then we have a bunch of friendly cats with us. I'd like cat army. Philosia omnis, Cleos veneno. A sweet smell fills the room, and a golden aura appears roughly at your arm's length. The cats, wide-eyed, slink to the edge of your aura, rear up on two legs, and try batting at it with their claws. Well, they're distracted, Tall says. Let's go. Fundamentally, it seems the cats weren't affected by the glamour, and they were excited to bat at glowing lights in the air. You'll take it. Kind of cute, really, you think? Maybe you should get a pet someday. I want a pet. I have a dog. Where is he? He's sleeping. He's an old man. Your hometown of Akriton has no library. In fact, you don't think there is a public library in the whole kingdom of Irenia. When you were young, the word library had a similar feel to the words hoard or utopia. A cache of books free for the taking was too good to be true. Now, you're in a library, and it's wonderful. The rows of books may well contain all the knowledge you've ever craved. The musty smell of the old books is intoxicating, and these are not just any books. Browsing the titles, it is clear that these are tomes of magic. Delicious, forbidden knowledge, ripe for the learning. The books glow slightly purple. You suspect this is an enchantment of negation that zaps dust and fungus before it can accrue. Thanks, Mother, you whisper. Your mother insisted on teaching you the language of the ancients herself while you were young, as her mother taught her. Even though the family had never been nobility, you're not sure your mother would approve of the subject matter here, but you're grateful nonetheless. Looks like it's your lucky day, Tall murmurs, admiring the rows upon rows of books. Yours too, if you want. Not if you're suggesting learning magic, Tall says. You're way braver than I am when it comes to messing with that stuff. Mind if I take some books that just look expensive and mostly not cursed? Sure, you say. Although you know whichever book she picks, it will pain you to find that she has sold them. You hunt for primers in the school of magic that you don't have books for yet. Negation, glamour, divination, and automation. The hemispherical magical lights above you are dimmed by dust and long-dead bugs, making it somewhat difficult to read the titles. Hey, why is there a humor section in the middle of the other magic? Tall calls out from a different aisle. Is that a joke? I remember hearing it somewhere that ancients considered it some kind of magic, you called back. Don't remember why. Aspirationally, you pick up a book called Megali Megaya, Great Magic. The contents are unintelligible, besides the introduction, which promises a cutting-edge look at how to perform incredibly powerful magic. The rest of the book may be too esoteric for you now, but you hope to unlock its secrets within time. Holy. You could spend hours in this library, and why not? But for all you know, there was only one Inquisitor pursuing you. But then again, for all you know, more Inquisitors are even now dousing the Academy's wooden buildings with oil and striking a spark. There's no reason the Hierophant could not have sent another Inquisitor, or two, or three. You'd best not linger over much. As you peruse the books, you notice that an author's name is often more prominent amongst the bland titles whatever they wrote. You wonder whether your name will survive 2,000 years and what you would be known for if it did. What is your first name? Names that are longer than 3 letters are seen as a little pretentious in your hometown of Akriton, though the urban elites of Edra don't see it that way. Bar, Bax, Kor, Del, Eli, Fu, Lar, Ori, Quix, Sal, Tam, Vey, Vix, Zig. Oh hey, I have a name. What was it again? Exactly. And it has 3 letters. We get 3-letter name. Not Bar, Bax, Kor, Del, Eli, Fu, Lar, Ori, Quix. Hey, you know, I'm the fastest person around. I'm Quix. I like Ori. I like the Ori and the Blind Forest games, so I'm fine with that. I have the name Ori. And what was your mother's name in your society before you register a profession? If your mother's name is Eli and you choose no gender, you are called Eli's child. Oh boy. So I can be Lars' child, Quick's child, Tam's child, Zig's child, Vic's child, Vey's child. Vey's child, Del's child, Kor's child, Eli's child, Fu's child, Lars' child. I mean, hey, if I choose Fu, I can be a Fu fighter. Tam's child, Sal's child, Vey's child, Vix's child, Zig's child. I'm actually going to choose something else for this. Typically, whenever I do... Wait, no. No, that works. That works. A name that I really like using for a lot of stuff that I do, if I don't use single, I will typically use the name Jin. I like the name Jin. I had a friend whose name was Jenna a long time ago, and her name was spelled with a Y, and I used to call her Jin, and I really like that name. Jin, yes, I'm sure. Jin, then. Ori Jin's child. You suppose will never appear on the back of a book, because you'll choose a professional name before then. Wizard Ori? Magician Ori? At the moment, it sounds unusual and awkward, and you're not even sure if Mayor Cos would allow it. You think they'll tell our tale in some musty book like this one day? You call it to Tal, who is exploring a different aisle. I don't know. What's the tale? Tal strikes back. Ori and Tal saved the kingdom of Ariania. Ori and Tal brought magic back to the kingdom of Ariania. Ori and Tal started a revolution and took over the kingdom of Ariania. Magic. I don't care about saving it. I don't care about taking it over. Yeah, so everyone's gonna start using magic now? Tal calls out. How's the queen feel about that? Queen Thekla would make a great sorceress, you say. She's already kind of mysterious and reclusive, very intelligent, full of plots. I really think she'd take to it. And the Hierophant? She's pretty old. Maybe on learning the queen has become a sorceress, Hierophant Elizabeth falls over dead with shock. And the rest of the church. Can we focus on the thing everybody else could do with magic, you say? Tal pokes the head of Noodles, her purple-staffed monkey, around the corner of a bookshelf. Could I learn banana-mancy? Tal says in her Noodles' voice. Why, never mind, silly question. Of course, you say. Excellent. For my first trick, I should make whatever bananas you own disappear. Tal often keeps you from taking yourself too seriously, and that's a good thing. We have stuffed monkey now. As you're looking for books, your glamour finally wears off and you feel a bit sick to your stomach. This is the rot that famously destroys your health if you use glamour magic too much. You suppose every magic has its drawbacks. After a bit of hunting, you find introductory texts for negation, glamour, divination, and automation. That makes a total of 6 thick books, one for each school, plus the tome of advanced magic called the Magali Magea. You can barely carry them all. You suppose you have to come back with a mule or something. You hesitate to bring back a book on negation magic. Some superstitious folk in town believe that the Dark Sun is not merely a physical entity beneath the surface of the earth, but rather an evil force that threatens to corrupt everyone it comes in contact with. You know, the ancients didn't see it that way. The ancients even used the Dark Sun as the heart of the earth as a power for their factories. You resolve to be circumspect about your own use of the magic. While Tal is busy searching for books that look expensive, you can't wait to try some of this new magic. Divination sounds promising. You recall the main drawback of divination is that it reveals some of your own information to whomever you scry upon. If you scry on a thing instead, someone associated with the thing will learn something about you. Perhaps the thing's guardian or its creator, or someone very interested in possessing it. What would you like to find out with divination? What might be moves? See, here's the thing. I feel like if I say, like, what would we most like to avoid, it's going to tell the people who avoid something about us. I think a potential ally might be better, because then, in that case, we can, like, them knowing something about us doesn't matter. You decide to cast a spell to look for potential allies. Yes, exactly. Seems safer to me. You decide to cast a spell to look for potential allies, monster or golems that might befriend you. You place your left thumb and forefinger on your temples and hold up your right hand with fingers splayed. Willing your senses to expand, you atone. Mysterian Gnomai, Amicus Gnosia, Exanthus. Before your eyes appears a vision of an ancient stone golem, adjusting some levers on an old contraption in what looks to see some kind of service tunnel. The stone golem itself is a blocky creature, but it wears a tattered tabard emblazoned with the crest of Magical Academy. An open book surrounded by a tree, an eye, a black sun, a gear, and a crown. On the wall beside the golem is some kind of map, but you can't make it out clearly. The golem looks up startled. It turns to look directly at you. Then the vision fades. You think this is the drawback of divination in action. You have divined the location of the golem, but it has also divined yours. So I think I found a potential ally, but I suspect it doesn't know it wants to be our friend yet, you say. Are you done? Sure, Tal says, returning to you with a backpack that is now bulging with heavy books. You return on the section of automation magic and pick up a readable-looking tome on Golem commands and protocols. Then you head for the exit to the library, a set of double doors that each bear the same set of symbols you saw in the Golem's library. You and Tal emerge from the library's main entrance into another quadrangle with false stars twinkling above. Where the last quadrangle appeared residential, this one seems administrative, with colonnades and porticos in the classical style. The tall wooden buildings were shaped by Vivamancy and painted to resemble marble. Fancy in taste, cheap in budget. You've heard the university and the capital is the same way. So why don't you just cast all the divinations you want? Tal asked. It's mentally exhausting, you say. Casting one leaves you unable to concentrate on the next. You need time to recover. And then, of course, there's the fact that it tends to give someone else information about you in return. I suppose there are plenty of things I'd rather not know, Tal says. You flinch a little at that. In fact, there's one secret that you've always kept from Tal that would make you afraid of ever casting divination on her, lest she learn a secret from you. What is it? It was my fault Tal lost her eye. It was my fault Tal lost her father. Ooh. I reported Tal to Mayor Koss. I mean, if we're operating under the assumption that Tal is really beat up about the fact that they lost their eye, I don't know if telling them I'm the reason for that is the best idea. I don't know Tal's relationship with their father. I assume it's not a good thing if I was the reason that Tal lost their father. And then I reported Tal to Mayor Koss. Why? Why is that important? Went to GameStop as well and now I have a headset? Hell yeah. Sorry, Tal, it's my fault you lost your dad. I told him to go get the milk. Sorry for being off topic, but I had to turn you down in store, so I'm not. That's fine. That's fine. We're just unpacking the fact that we are the reason that Tal lost their dad. It was one of your earliest memories. You were playing at Tal's house, and Tal's father was there on the couch. You don't remember him being there much. You always think he was out fighting monsters in the countryside. You must have been 4, maybe younger. It was just you and Tal and him. You and Tal playing with blocks and him waiting for something. Maybe he was waiting for something. He only seemed half interested in the two of you. And then some whim struck him. He got your attention and made his ears really big. They grew to the size of dinner plates. You giggled, "Dad," Tal said. But you didn't understand why she was worried. He just winked at you. Then he made his arm grow long to grab a growler of beer from the dining table. "Dad," Tal said again. Tal's father just winked at you. You were very, very young, slightly younger than Tal, and didn't say anything. He probably thought you couldn't, and you would forget all about it. But you'd never realize he was a shapeshifter. A race reviled since the Great War with the neighbors, and when they were engineered by the neighbors to be assassins. But a few years later, before you learned how shapeshifters were treated, when you kicked the ball into the market awning and Tal's father happened to be nearby alongside a crowd of other market patrons standing around, you said to Tal's father, "Just make your arms grow long again." Did Tal's father turn pale?
Water time, my boy.
You wouldn't have noticed. Oh, thank you for the water time. I appreciate it very, very much. It is indeed water time. Did Tal's father turn pale? You wouldn't have noticed, but he did say, "Did you have a strange dream, Ori?" That just provokes a 6-year-old. "No, I saw you, and you made your ears big. I saw you." Tal's father was found dead the next day, stabbed in the back and left in an alley. And you never told Tal that you were the one who had revealed that her father was a shapeshifter. The memory of the silly old shapeshifter has often given you a solemn moment at times that might otherwise be cheerful. Oh, so I was a kid, so it matters significantly less. Also, thank you for the head pats. I appreciate it. Because it happened when we were a kid, I'm a lot less invested in that. That's an understandable mistake for a kid. Absolutely. Like, I don't hold it against him. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I know it's like, oh, you have to talk to me like I'm a child. Like, they're actually children. So, like, they don't have the understanding that, like, social constructs exist or discrimination exists to that extent. They're not going to be taught that on a regular basis. Heck, I wasn't taught that until I learned it in school. And I'm part of the people discriminated against. You bring yourself back to the present where Tal is ruminating on the downsides of magic. It's all like that fairy tale with the greedy guy wishes for money and ends up drowning in gold, Tal says. You sure you want to become a wizard? With all my heart, you say earnestly. Yeah, take your time thinking about it, Tal says, giving you a playful shove. Indeed, you've always been in love with this very idea of magic. You've even formed vague plans about what you would do if you ever discovered it. What did you imagine you would do with your magical power? Or yeah, exactly. Or having stretchy arms might get them stabbed if people knew. I discriminate against my children daily, so they're prepared. You say that now, but your children like actively eat your toes, and then the other one is built like a WWE wrestler. So like, good luck. I wanted to be able to vanquish anyone I so choose. I wanted to clean the world of the fall of the ancients left behind. I wanted to understand the world and how it got this way. I wanted to understand people better. Every life is a fascinating story. I imagine becoming well-respected, even adored. I wanted to become a peacemaker to get people to lay down their arms. I wanted to bring back the fabulous inventions of the ancients. I imagined healing the sky, causing our weather to go back to normal. I wanted to be free to pursue whatever whim struck me. I wanted to be a wandering healer, like a saint. And they've stopped biting feet for now. I mean, I think I resonate with a lot of these, but in particular, I think I just want to be able to be free. To just like, if I want to do one of these things, I can do it for a bit. If I don't have the obligation to. I don't need to have a goal outside of just being able to not have a goal. You've never been one for grand plans, or prefer to take advantage of opportunities as you see them. I just enjoy the magic. You've never been one for grand plans. You prefer to take advantage of opportunities as you see them, and let life wend along its meandering course. Of all the ancient mages, the Vibromancer seemed almost aligned with your philosophy that let's just see what happens attitude is partly responsible for all the fabulous creatures roaming the countryside. You each saw a modern monster as a living testament to some ancient creative genius and whimsy. Methodically exploring the ruins, you head clockwise around the quadrangle to the next building, a tall, wide tower that looks as though it's some kind of crow's nest jutting above the crenellations on top. You pass through a columned portico and open a pair of heavy bronze double doors. When you open the doors, you find the golem you scried upon earlier, standing in the middle of a great dining hall with long, dusty tables. The stone golem, 8 feet tall, wearing the livery of an ancient, appears to have emerged from the door on the opposite side. On seeing you, it booms in the dialect of the ancients. Vistori non legitimus egres or all thanates vu. Leave or die, basically, you translate for Tal. I was getting that, Tal says. If you incapacitate the golem, you can probably find a way to reprogram it to serve you. You scan the room for anything worthwhile to use against the golem. The old crystal chandeliers are fairly large, and the golem is standing almost directly under one of them. There's also a lot of mass in the wooden tables and chairs that might be shaped into something else via Bivermancy, although you're uncertain whether you have the power to do so. The place settings are bare, no silverware to hurl. Is it sleepy time, Meanity? Is it nap time? I'm not going to toss a ball of negative energy. That seems like a stupid idea. With Vibromancy, I reshape the tables to entrap the golem. That's not bad, but again, I don't know if I can do that. Use lure the golem and send away the meds and disintegrate the room, putting Brand and I into a cozy mood. Oh, I'm so terribly sorry. Use a gleam of magic to convince the golem I belong here. Just go listen to the plate for a bit. That'll cancel out. No, it's good. I don't know. So I can either reshape the tables, or I mean, I assume it's not gonna like. I don't even know if the tables would be strong enough to hold this thing. I think I'd rather just. But the chandelier might damage it. I don't know. Let's lure the golem under the chandelier to magically disintegrate the rope. Okay. I see how this is. Okay, I see with it. Okay. Again. Yep, there it is again. This is so rude. Is this how you treat your employees? It's nice listening to a story while working Blender. I appreciate it. And I hope your smoothie turns out well. Come and get me, you tell the golem, edging under the chandelier. Initium inhalatio, the golem says, and it charges straight for you. You begin a viromancy spell that causes the rope fibers to rot to nothing, and complete it as the golem is about to hit you. You leap out of the way, and the chandelier comes crashing down on the golem, encasing it in a ring of gold and crystal. I'm feeding you. I am pretty hungry. I have had so far today a bowl of cereal. That is all. And I did have like 5 Cheez-Its when I was muted a second ago. As the golem struggles to break free of the chandelier, you quickly look through the book you brought from the library for a more permanent solution. You find a bit on resetting the golem's instructions. Apparently, it is tradition to set the same password for every golem, so that any properly trained wizard can stop from running amok. Mentis rasa, you say, and the golem ceases its struggles. With a bit more work, you succeed in giving the golems new instructions to follow and obey you. Defend us if we are attacked. Try not to break anything, you tell the golem. Certere dominix, the golem says. Nice, Tal says, impressed. With that, you pass on to the kitchen. What's the problem, Unity? What's the problem? You want to see the stats? Here's your stats. Yeah, I'm good at fighting, good at subtlety, decent at charisma, decent at ancient history. Optimistic, humor, middle of empathy and calculation. The kitchen shows off the ancients' ingenuity when it comes to automation-based improvements to daily life. The room is chilled by a large automatic cryo vault, its metal door open and exposing spiky white ice within. You wonder how much power this ancient machine has drawn from the heavens in the 2,000 years it has been down here. On the kitchen counters alongside the other 2 walls are an assortment of handheld automatic devices equipped with drills, whisks, and blades of uncertain purpose. One amuses you. A small trivet equipped with 3 black wands, all pointed in towards the center. You think this is a Pico Negator, a device that could heat food quickly by hurling tiny balls of negative energy into the food. Near the end, the ancients apparently became lackadaisical to the point of causing self-destruction. The inert flying serving trays equipped with metal claws and feathered wings only reinforce this impression. You notice some interesting items on top of the cryo vault. There's a full alchemy set up there with test tubes and distillers and magical burners. Behind the alchemy set are stacked wooden barrels. An alchemy set would be an excellent addition to your basement's laboratory. Making potions is as easy as following a recipe as long as you're given the right ingredients. Hey golem, you say, calling to your new servant behind you. Do you think you could reach that old alchemy set up there? Cetere dominix, the golem says, and it lumbers with crashing steps over to the alchemy set. You wince as the automaton reaches quickly for the alchemy set, afraid the golem will knock down one of the ominous-looking barrels sitting nearby. But it retrieves the whole thing on a platter in one swift motion and offers it to you. Success! You have an alchemy set, and someone to carry it for you. This day just keeps getting better. Just hold on to that for me, please. Cetere dominix. While you're thinking about it, you also pillage the most useful-looking parts from the kitchen tools and automatic serving trays and throw them onto the golem's platter as well. Looking for more places to explore, you find a trapdoor near the oven. You throw it open to reveal stairs leading down. This must lead to where I saw a golem friend in my vision, you say. Nice to know he's polite enough to close the doors behind him, Tal says. I think I saw a map on the wall in the golem's room, you say. Let's head there and plan our explorations from there. You look to the golem. Lead the way, if you please. Cetere dominix. You, Tal, and the golem descend the stairs to the service tunnels. Dust-dimmed magical orbs on the ceiling glow to illuminate the grimy service tunnels. 2,000-year-old graffiti has been burned into the wood of the tunnels with negation magic. Initials of long-dead students, declarations of relationships, identities of cheaters, unkind words for bad professors. You wonder what the Vandals would think if they knew the graffiti would be about their only lasting legacy. They'd probably be pretty excited to have a legacy at all. You said the neighbors pulled the academies like this underground so they could be looted later, Tal says. So why didn't they loot this one? I guess the negative C must have appeared here between us first, you say. It stopped the Great War cold. But then what about the neighbor spies the Queen is said to sometimes find, Tal says. Why didn't they dig this up? I guess if they're spies, there can't be that many of them, you say. But you can't trust all those stories. Neighbors kidnapping babies for no reason. Neighbors shapeshifters taking place in the royal family. I think they're just that, stories. Because if the neighbors really could cross the negative sea, we'd already be conquered. They probably never have had to give up magic in the first place. With your golem's help, you quickly find the station where your golem was manning controls. You have little idea of what any of the levers, dials, or buttons in this alcove mean, but there's a helpful map of the wall. According to the map, there are 3 large rooms in this tower that stretch nearly to the top. The laboratory, the auditorium, and the arena. From your knowledge of ancient history, you can surmise a little about each one. The laboratory is marked with 3 symbols, a tree for vibromancy, dark sun for negation, and a gear for automation. The magical laboratories of the ancients typically specialized in one school of magic, but this one apparently combined 3. The auditorium would have been perfect for school plays, with the actors' glamour enhanced to make the performance more exciting. The arena would have been a place for Harpiabala, or Harpy Ball. The ancients had a conflicted attitude about the place of violence in sports, which they resolved by having monsters play for them, manipulated by magicians on the sidelines. Perhaps if you went there, you would find something left behind by those sideline magicians, but you'll almost certainly find harpies too. You look to Tal. What do you think? Tal shakes her head. It's your call. You and the golem know much more about the ancients than I do. Golem, do you have any opinion of which of these 3 paths would be best? You ask your new servant. The golem stabs a finger at the library. Lemur malum, it says. No. Then the auditorium. Legion Arachnis. No. Then the arena. Harpiabala. No. Bad Spirit, Legion of Spiders, Harpy Ball. Could you elaborate, you say? The golem looks at you as if you're the dense one. It circles all 3 rooms with his hand. No. It seems any of these 3 paths would be equally good for getting to the roof area, not counting their unknown dangers. So I can either deal with the Bad Spirit, a Legion of Spiders, or Harpies. I think So there's 3 sets of magic up there. We can focus on like the glamour aspect of it, or the charisma aspect, or like the combat aspect of it, I assume is where we're going here, of which I'm gonna go to the laboratory because there's magic there. Let's go to the laboratory, you say. There are bound to be some toys left over we could use. Tal nods. Makes sense. You chart a path of the laboratory and set off to the service tunnels. Your golem hopefully points the way at various junctures. Setba. When you reach the end of the corridor where the door to your laboratory should be, you find the academy has turned into a dead end, with its symbol depicting the 5 magics painted in the above message. Caveat Scholasticus. Beware, student, you say. Thanks, very helpful. Tal says. The barrier grown from the tree could be parted with vibromancy, but it seems something dangerous was walled off here. Let's part the barrier. Something's not right here. Let's try the auditorium instead. Something's not right here. Let's try the arena instead. I came here for a reason. You cast a vibromancy spell, and light swarming with tiny living motes streams between your hands and the barrier. You smell sweet resin halfway between maple and pine. As you force the wood to part along its grain, the act of parting the wood leaves you physically exhausted. Behind the barrier is the original door, a steel door that stands in contrast to the wood of the rest of the academy. You open the latch and a shimmering curtain of light separates you from whatever lies beyond. You break off a piece of wood from the retracted barrier and stick the long splinter into the curtain of light. You pull back the stick, no damage. I think this field is keeping something in, not out, you say. It shouldn't harm us. Great, Tal says. You can go first. You plunge through a curtain of light. A polished metal cylinder stands in the center of the tall room, the walls of which have been covered with equations burnt into the white paint. In the center of the cylinder is a skeleton reclining on a leather chair, sealed behind glass doors. The metal cylinder is covered in automation runes, as well as some symbols you have seen in vibromancy and negation tomes. It seems clear that whatever the cylinder was intended to do, it was the subject's final experiment. A metal scaffolding surrounds the cylinder with ladders leading up to different landings. On each landing of the scaffolding are piles of automation-related metal parts and tools, some still in good condition. On the landing, 5 floors up, is a door out. Well, Tal begins to say as she gives the start, as her voice echoes through the chamber. Well. I don't see. A specter made of writhing negative energy bursts through the cylinder, its glowing blue eyes trained on you. Rolling darkness coalesces into a skull around the blue eyes, and its jaw opens up to emit an excited screech that reverberates through the chamber, causing Tal to put a finger in one ear. The chamber turns cold as the specter draws near. Bene venitus, metakines zern, your golem says in greeting. But the specter ignores it. It points a finger of roiling darkness at you. Liberise Mao, it says. Liberise Mao. O ta'u mangvo numa. Free me, or I will eat your soul. Well, that sounds bad. Cast a glamour and try to befriend the specter. Quickly cast a spell to dissipate negative energy. Negate the light curtain on the door. Destroy a physical skeleton with negation magic. Sprout wings and carry Tal to the exit. Cast a divination to find more out about the specter. I'm feeding you? No. I don't want to negate the light curtain because it's just going to let the spirit out. I think it's a bad idea to do. Let's dissipate the negative energy. Drink water. Become moist. Thank you for the hydrate. I have become it, the moist. You try to quickly cast a spell you saw in your negative energy textbook for parting negative energy clouds, but instead of drawing on the energy at the heart of the earth, you hold out a hand to draw on the very energy of the specter. But the specter's energy feels slippery, and you lack the experience necessary to gain a good hold on it. It is instructive to try, though. Understanding what you're trying to do, the specter shrieks and lunges at you. Back through the curtain quickly, you shout, and you and Tal run back through the light curtain, having the specter to beat its spectral hands against the barrier. The golem gives you a look. Venus? It says, perhaps with a trace of 2,000-year-old irony. Where would you like to go instead? Auditorium. You decide to see what's in the auditorium instead. You enter the auditorium from behind the stage where assorted colorful costumes are draped from coat tracks and heaped on the floor. It's a narrow passage, and you have a sense that beyond the flimsy-looking wooden wall in front of you is the stage. To your far left and right, you see the controls for rigging, lights, and elevators, once used by stagehands, all somewhat boggling in their complexity. When you emerge onto the stage proper, you encounter huge spider webs stretching across the whole width of the auditorium and up to the balcony, where you see 5 giant spiders, each about the size of a cow, milling about. You know that charmed giant spiders were a common military tactic employed by the neighbors at the time of the ancients, since their webs would stall opposing forces on the ground, but you're uncertain how so many would end up in the auditorium. You quickly retreat so that you're only peeking around the corner. In the very back of the auditorium, obscured by webs, sits a buffet table. Most of the food rotted away long ago, leaving empty bowls and trays, but one bowl of red fruit punch appears to have been replenished by a magical fountain at its center for 2,000 years. You suppose that's what keeps this colony of spiders alive. The set on the stage appears to have collapsed into a heavy-looking pile 5 feet high. Magical spotlight, also heavy-looking, has fallen on top of that at an angle, casting long shadows with its red light. Everything else about the chamber suggests its last occupants left in a hurry. Padded chairs are overturned, magically preserved souvenir programs lie on the floor, and a few skeletons near the exits look trampled to death. Recrifit pudifa, the golem says, looking around. Needs cleaning. Yeah, well, you should see Tal's place, you tell the golem, which earns you an expected thwack on the shoulder. You wonder whether there's anything worthwhile under that pile of collapsed set pieces. A divination may provoke anything living under the rubble. Alright. Let's see. What are my options? Cast divination to learn what's under the rubble. No. Make my hands large, more mole-like. Dig through the rubble. No. Blast the rubble. I don't really care about what's under the rubble, to be honest. You don't like the odds of provoking either the spiders or whatever may be lurking under the rubble. If you decide to dig, you leave the pile of rubble alone. Now, how will you get out of this room? You try to think of some solutions that don't involve leaving behind your new golem friend. Use automation. Make a stagehand elevator. You duck backstage again to examine the two stagehand elevators. To a casual inspector, the platforms look like simple metal squares floating a foot off the ground. Looking on the undersides of the platforms, you see each has a schematic of the auditorium etched to it. With its place filled in with silver, the maximum and minimum heights are further marked from the old numbering system of the ancients. You try stepping on one of the platforms, and it swiftly rises to the height that was marked on its underside. You give an experimental little jump in place as it falls back down to its original height. As they are, the elevators don't get you close enough to the second balcony to be useful, but you have an idea. What if you added additional stops to each platform? Raising hand to some of the power of storms, you say, In cielo potens prescribo positas. Oh, you're back home? What'd you get? Boba, what's the Taco Bell order? What's the Taco Bell order, Boba? I won't move until I know this Taco Bell order. I see you stopped at GameStop to get 12 Pokemon Bitty Pops, a Frankenstein, a new headset, and 5 Pokemon TCG boosters. I got 3 Frank's Red Hot Burritos. Frank's Red Hot Burritos. An orange cream freeze, and she got the $9 deluxe box with the vanilla freeze and nacho fries. All right. One thing I do appreciate about Taco Bell, especially in the area that I live in, is that, like, if you think of, like, fast food, right? You think of, like, McDonald's, whatever. Going to McDonald's still costs, like, $15 to $20, right? Going to Taco Bell, like, is really cheap still. I do appreciate Taco Bell for that aspect. It is good still, as well. But yes, I very much like the price of Taco Bell, because I think it's very affordable. What do you say? I did still spend. Well, yeah, you did still spend. Well, you look at all the stuff you got. Look at it. Did you get cinnamon twist? Meanity did ask for cinnamon twist, and if you didn't get them, they will be upset. And don't you know, hell hath no fury, like Amina slightly inconvenienced. The individual breeds, more expensive individuals. Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. That's the point of the bundle. Totally got the cinnamon twist. Ooh, Meanity's gonna be upset. Don't worry, Meanity. When I go to Taco Bell after stream, I'll get you. I'll get you cinnamon twist. Also, Boba, don't you go live in like half an hour? I don't believe you. All right, back to this. Oh yeah, that's right. You're waiting. That's right. You're waiting. The lightning bolt strikes your raised hand, crackles around you, and concentrates on your finger, which buzzes and feels slightly numb. Lying on your back to get under it, you etch a new square on the platform's map of the auditorium. Just over the second balcony, you specify only one height for that location, which you estimate to be about 3 feet above the balcony's height, giving you more room to air on either side. To get the silver necessary to complete the spell, you go to the other platform and scoop it out of the etching with your crackling finger, gathering the silver powder in the palm of your hand. It comes out surprisingly easily. To apply it to the runes on your altered elevator, you sprinkle a bit of your enchanted rune-drawing finger, and it hovers there until you apply it. In this way, you fill in your new square with silver. You try out the square by jumping on it. It goes up to its original second location in the air. You jump in place, and it goes back down. Didn't work? Tal says. I'm not giving up yet. You jump in place one more. This time it whizzes across the auditorium with alarming speed until it arrives 4 feet above the second balcony past all the spiders. Apparently, the platform did not know which location to go to next when presented with 2 other options, so it chose randomly. You're glad of the lesson in magical item design. You climb down and tap the platform to send it back to Tal. The platform does what you'd like the first time, stopping at Tal and then carrying her across the divide to the second balcony. But when you send the platform back the next time for your golem friend, it goes to its unreachable height above the golem's head. The golem looks up at the platform puzzled. Just catch up if you can, alright? You say unwillingly to tarry any longer in the spider's domain. Cetere Dominix, the golem calls to you. With the spiders alerted to your presence, you pass through the doors in the back of the second balcony and shut it before they reach you. A corridor of maintenance closets, which you rifle through for spare parts, leads to a stairwell at the intersection of 4 corridors. You think this corridor presents an opportunity to explore the rooms in this tower you didn't already thoroughly explore. Passing through the arena, the auditorium, or the laboratory would have landed you here, and you could go back in the way of any of these rooms to try and extract more treasure. I don't really care about going back for the arena. Let's go up the stairs to the aviary and air dock. Because here's my thing. If I'm going to be playing this game multiple times, I don't need to explore every single path that I find, because I'd rather just organically find it when I go through my playthroughs. You can decide to proceed up the stairs. As you're about to proceed up the stairs, you encounter your golem covered in spider webbing from head to toe and methodically picking it off as it walks. You made it, you say to the golem. Cetere Dominix, it says wearily. You ascend to the aviary in the airlock. You emerge onto the roof of the large tower you had been exploring, where you see a giant green dragon curled around an ancient airship about 100 feet away. The airship has no propellers or anything of the sort, just a single tall mast for the crow's nest. But you can tell from its heavy metal hull, hemispherical on the bottom and aerodynamic on top, that this was never a ship meant to sail through water. The sleeping dragon curled about the mast is massive and ancient, the size of a nice 2-story house, and its green scales look brittle and riddled with fungus and rot. Its breath smells slightly foul. You catch a whiff of rotten eggs that must be sulfur. 5 other airships of the air dock have all been smashed over the course of centuries, but the large center airship looks intact. You could attack the dragon while it is sleeping, though an attack would certainly wake it up. You could also try sneaking around it to explore. You give Tal an inquiring look about the dragon, and she gives you a dubious look in return that says, "Are you crazy?" Dracus Megafort, your golem says, holding up a hand in warning. Ne bella conflict. I'm just gonna sneak past. I don't think I want to do that. You try sneaking past the dragon. Footfall by footfall, you try to stealthily make your way past it. You make it past the dragon without incident, but find nothing of interest behind it. Puzzled, because you had the distinct impression the dragon was guarding something, you think for a moment, and your attention is drawn to the crow's nest atop the mast the dragon is curled around. You consider a moment whether you're stealthy enough to walk up the dragon's back without being noticed, but then you have a less crazy plan. You draw power from within yourself and murder the ancient words, Eviana Eroba Volanta Pluma. You feel giant wings sprout from your back, drawing mass from all the rest of your bones. Man, they really wanted us to get this to get these wings, didn't they? They really tried for us to get these wings. You feel your mass overall get lighter in a way that it may not reverse itself. You leap into the air and flap with all your might to get to the crow's nest, where you find a nest containing a clutch of mottled dragon eggs. Should have just flown at the start. I guess so. I guess I should have just flown from the start. You take one and hold it in your hands, a foot tall and 8 inches wide. It's a bit awkward to carry on top of your books, but you're certain it will be worth it someday. Laden with as much treasure as you can carry out of the sunken academy, you decide it's time to leave this place. You hear a loud snort that echoes through the cabin. Checking on the dragon, you see that it's now awake. As you fly back the way you came, the dragon leaps over you and lands with an echoing boom in front of the door, blocking your exit. Then it inhales and breathes flames. You duck behind the central airship. The dragon's breath sets the whole air dock ablaze, though you avoided the burnt of the flames. You feel a pang of sorrow. You were hoping to be able to come back later for more knowledge, but with all the flammable wood and paper, everything will be incinerated by the time you can return. How will you get through the rock ceiling of the cavern above you? Let's use automation. Hell yeah, look at my automation. You raise one hand to the sky and point at the mast of the ship with another. Neto. The airship's mast wrenches itself free of the ship and begins to spin madly about its axis. You make a lifting motion with your hand and the mast lurches into the rock ceiling of the cavern, making a sound loud enough to feel in your chest, spraying rock everywhere. The dragon itself seems too stunned to act. It lets out a deafened roar. When your drilling is done, daylight streams into the cavern, bright compared to the artificial lights of the academy. Thunderheads still cover the whole sky, as always, and these dark clouds in particular seem unusually irritable. You suspect your own automation magic is to blame. You allow the mast to drop. Conveniently, you're already sporting wings. Hop on, you say to Tal. This is crazy, Tal says, following your instructions. My best friend has wings, and now I'm just hopping on for a ride? No biggie? You turn to the golem. I'm afraid I can't carry you. The golem shrugs. Ola kala. Then it leaps away from the collapsing tower with an astonishing bound, landing on stable ground 150 feet away. It turns to you expectantly, awaiting further instructions. Okay then, you say. Meet me in Acriton. You think the town's name hasn't changed in 2,000 years? The golem bows. Sentere Dominix. And with that, you fly out of the cavern and into the sky, clutching the dragon's egg to your chest. The ever-present thunderclouds above you look a bit peeved, like an ant colony that's been kicked. You look down and see the cavern collapsing. Apparently the final hole you punched through was big enough to remove its keystone and bring down the whole thing down. You won't be returning anytime soon. Ah, Tal says, rubbing your shoulder to cheer you up. Don't be sad. Look at it this way. You could have had gone your whole life without ever seeing that library, but now you've seen it, and you can pursue your dreams. It may be the end of one thing, but it's the beginning of another. Isn't that exciting? Yeah, you say. It is. You dreamed of being a wizard all your life. The ability to shape reality with mere thought and will seemed almost a fairy tale. But you finally have the tomes necessary to make it real. The Inquisitors will surely come for you again. People have vanished for knowing less than what you know. A conflict with the Church seems inevitable. The end of one thing is the beginning of another, Tal repeats. That's how it always is, and I have a feeling this is the beginning of something big. Alright. Chapter 2. Oh. Depending on how long this is, we might just do Chapter 2 and then call it there, and then we'll pick this back up next week. Chapter 2. Home. The skies over the kingdom have not been clear since the time of the ancients. The eternal storm they created 2,000 years ago with their automation magic continues to make the world a gray, rainy place. At the moment, light drizzle dampens your wings, but the storm isn't as bad as it could be. Thunder crashes off to your right, somewhere along the coast of the Negative Sea. The Negative Sea is a huge bank of black and purple fog stretching along the eastern border of the kingdom from north to south, accidentally created at the end of the Great War 2,000 years ago. It blocks all passage to the lands to the east, the lands of the neighbors once known as the Magisterian Empire. Whether the neighbors even still exist is a matter of speculation, but the mile-high Negative Sea is certainly real. Composed of dense negative energy residue, it could dissolve anything that ventured inside. The plains to the west are scraggly and barren. It's early spring, and new growth is just starting to peek through the tan soil, but you can already see barren trails where death clouds have broken away from the Negative Sea, scoured their way across the countryside. As the misty negative residue is relatively heavy, it travels low to the ground, which is just as well, as you're not sure what would happen if the eternal storm ever mixed with a death cloud. You land a mile outside Acriton in a forest called the Mild Wood so that you don't draw too much attention on your return. You painfully pull your wings back into your body. While you rest from your flight, your golem catches up to you and stands at attention, ready for orders. Back to reality, I guess, Tal says, echoing your thoughts. She looks at the thunderheads above. We should hurry. This looks like it could get bad soon. She nods to the golem. Not sure what you plan to do with that guy when we get there. You think the golem gives an almost imperceptible shrug. Ad vous volunt Dominix. By the time you and Tal get back into town, it's sunset. The market in the town square is being disassembled for the day, with the canopies rolled up and tent poles stacked. The scrawny sheep and heifers of the meat market are being herded down the street back to their pastures, complaining with bleats and moos. Some construction is halted for the day. A tall wood and rope pulley system covered with tarps in case it rains overnight. You haggle with a vendor for a cheap tarp, go back to your golem waiting on the outskirts of the city, and give it to the golem as a makeshift poncho. By the time you return, the market has mostly cleared out, leaving only Saint Anne sitting cross-legged on a rug, dispensing advice to her last parishioner. The white-robed saint has offered healing and holy visions to Accrington for years, and her aura of holiness is palpable. This is where we part ways, Tal says. Thanks for the adventure. She lifts her pack laden with whatever artifacts she could get her hands on. You see the old tomes and silver jewelry peeking through its opening. Mom was going to lose the house, but not anymore. I'm heading straight to the bank tomorrow, not even going to let her touch the stuff. Not keeping anything for yourself, you say. Tal shrugs. I don't know. Maybe if there's something left. Don't worry about it. Wait a moment. Calls Saint Anne. Tal, your leg didn't heal right, Saint Anne says, pointing. Whoever did that put you in danger of an infection. Let me fix it. Neither you nor Tal has been in any trouble with the church before, so you're uncertain how to proceed. You think the saints act somewhat independently from the church. Could she have received a vision from your encounter with the Inquisitor? But Saint Anne has an aura of holiness that makes it difficult to mistrust her. Remembering your golem, you turn, but you don't see it for a moment. It picks its tarp out of a nearby construction site. You think it's huddling under it and pretending to be a pile of bricks, so that seems fine. Rather impressive, really. I'm sorry, Marie, Saint Anne says to the plain-looking brunette who was her last client. It's no trouble, the parishioner insists. I think I was done. Then go with Abraxas. The plain-looking woman leaves. She looks familiar, but you can't place her. I mean, I don't necessarily trust myself with healing, so might as well just let, take the healing for now. You may as well, you tell Tal. Yeah, better than to get some weird growth where you cursed me, Tal says. You can tell she intended to be a joke, but it didn't come out that way. Tal goes to Saint Anne, kneels and pushes her arm out of the way for where her wound was. Saint Anne's hand glows, and you see tiny wriggling life in the beams of light that are drawn into it. It reminds you of Vivimancy, but this magic is more impressive in a way that you find hard to describe. Anne presses her hand to Tal's leg and murmurs a short prayer under her breath, and the wound seals. Now, let me see if I have any advice for you as well, Saint Anne says. She puts her thumb and forefinger to her temples and mutters another nearly inaudible prayer. Tal, the time is coming when it will be better to reveal everything. People fear what is unfamiliar more than what is familiar. With friends in high places, anything is possible. Do you understand? You're taken somewhat aback. Surely Anne is suggesting Tal reveals she's a shapeshifter. Okay, thanks, Tal says, frowning. She clearly doesn't quite believe being open is a good idea. Saint Anne winces and puts her hand on her abdomen. I think that must be my last miracle. Possibly my last in Accrington since I'm leaving tomorrow. Where are you going? You ask. Again, worried this is connected to the Inquisitor. The capital, Anne says. I need some rest. She smiles sadly. I haven't ever had a holiday
You're
since
so
coming here,
cringe.
did you know? Not once. Hey, Uncle Ben, how's it going? You're so cringe. How are you doing today? Well, good luck, you say, still uncertain as to what is happening with Saint Anne. Hey, how are you? I'm doing alright. I'm glad it's Sunday, so we're taking some time to play through a text adventure game today. How have you been? How have you been? I'm doing well. I'm afraid I'm out of luck, St. Anne says, but if I ever see you again, I want you to remember this. I don't regret being a saint, not for one moment. Life always comes to an end. All we can do is live it beautifully. You aren't sure what to say to this, and during your hesitation, St. Anne departs. How dare you, Ben? You know what you did. What? Oh, cool. I just had to ban a bot and place chat. Sorry. No, this is not. No, Bulba, that's Uncle Bert. That's not Uncle Ben. That's Uncle Bert. Different person. Bro, focus on your shit. Hey, I did it, didn't I? Never mind, wrong uncle. Let Bulba do his job. Bulba's too slow. You say goodnight to Tal as well. When you're out of sight, you cast a divination to ask whether there's something you could do for St. Anne, but divination comes up blank. If she's dying, there's no saving her. Come on, Golem, you say to the tarp-covered lump in the construction site, and it rises to its feet and lumbers along after you, now a tarp-covered lump with legs. You proceed to the home of Banker Sarah, whose basement you rent, and struggle with the storm doors as you try to conceal all the random artifacts you picked up from the academy. You have a feeling there was a clause prohibiting the storage of forbidden artifacts somewhere in that long contract you signed to rent the place. Working the doors open, you and the golem proceed to your basement abode. What does it look like overall? It's filled with mementos reminding me of friends and family. The floor is dominated by a giant map of all the ruins I know about. I use a bunch of quirky ancient junk as furniture. So this is actually funny. So for me, I have a huge, not huge, but I have a pretty sizable collection of, whenever I get like trinkets from people, I keep them. Even if they're like not meant to be necessarily kept. Like, I have some stuff like a bracelet a friend made me before, but like I also have like this drawing one of my friends made of just like, they were just messing around. And it was like a drawing of like a forest, and it was drew on like the back of a piece of paper. And I still have that because I like having those kind of like reminders of things. Family, not so much. I'm not a family person, but friends for sure. So it's filled with mementos reminding me of friends and family. You have only one portrait, and it's of your mother and father from a few years back. It's small, quickly painted by a traveling artist at the annual town fair, and the general negative corrosion in the air has already caused the paint to fade, but you remember their love for you whenever you look at it. Your room tells the rest of the story through objects whose significance only you understand, placed in cubby holes and on bookshelves around the room. There's the hilt of a sword Tal broken saving you from a wandering golem. There's a brass locket your childhood sweetheart gave you before he was struck by lightning and passed away. There's the small black stone you kept from your first adventure in the ruins of the ancients. The only thing you could find in that the church had not already cleared out, and which you kept uselessly urging to do something magical. You have at least 30 of these things scattered around a room that's not really built for entertaining visitors. A single wooden chair and your bed in the tiny adjacent room are the only furniture for people in the whole apartment, but with these reminders of your past, it's comfortable enough. One desk in the corner, given to you by your grandmother, is reserved for your laboratory, humble as it is, or was before your expedition to the Sunken Academy. The random assortment of automatic trinkets whose power you were trying to unlock now seems like nothing compared to the haul you dump onto the desk. A whole alchemy set composed of vials, beakers, and burners that you lay out across the desk. The dragon egg, which you swaddle in some sweaters. The fascinating Lux Gladius weapon. Some things to wear that once belonged to a student who practiced negation magic. An assortment of spare automation parts you picked up while exploring the academy, and of course the hefty tomes of magic you found, which will form the basis of your further magical study, not to mention the golem. You had quite a haul this time around. Vos imperit Dominix, the golem prompts behind, still wearing the tarp as a disguise. It occurs that the golem might want a name besides just golem. What will you name the golem? Petro, meaning stone. Maximus not, because I like counting from 0. Golem is fine. I'll come up with a unique name. Does anyone want to name the golem? Ow. Does anyone have a preference as to what do we name the golem? I always like stuff like this though. I like the when you're like blending magic with technological advances. I think that's very, very interesting. But I think what that does is it creates this like very cool dynamic. Well, I always considered magic like this kind of magical, like imagine like in oxygen, like you breathe in magic, air is just permeating into the air. but um, but as a whole, like so then you have like this like natural kind of substance versus this man-made substance and like automation. By the way, Boba, is this like some is this gonna end up being like some naughty joke? Not that I know. Okay, cool. Bramph. Bramph, is that right? Yes. Your name is now Bramph, you tell the golem. Cetere Dominix, says Bramph. Vos imperets. I think some of my magical experiments will probably benefit from having another person around, you'd say. And since Tal is smart enough to not volunteer for that, and nobody else in town should see my experiments, you're the perfect candidate for the role. Hola, Kala, the golem says uncertainly, but it nods. All that can begin tomorrow, though, you say. Tonight I'm gonna get some well-deserved rest, and you can too. Bramph seems to shrug. Hola, Kala. It stands motionless. Well, maybe it doesn't need any rest, but at least you don't have to worry about it that way. Happier than you have been in a long time, you go to your bedroom, a tiny room just big enough for your antique bed, and drift off to sleep. When you wake up the next day, you're most eager to continue studying the books of magic you retrieve from the academy. Bramph stands ready to help, or at least it's not doing anything else. What kind of magic will you study the most? Recall that negation is useful for fights, but leaves behind deadly clouds. Divination reveals information to you, but also may reveal information about yourself to someone else in the process. Automation creates magical objects, but worsens the ever-present storms. Glamour makes you persuasive in the short term, but wears away at your health. And Viverman sees the magic of life, which has unexpected long-term consequences. Let's look. So we're kind of big on the automation and the Viromancy right now. I think that divination might be kind of cool to learn something about at least. You decide to practice your divination magic. Who or what will you practice on? Try to find the history of these books from the Sunken Academy. You decided you're most interested in learning about the past with your newfound magic. You take the 5 tomes of magic you retrieved from the Sunken Academy and arrange them on a table in front of you. Give Bramph instructions for what to do if you fall too deep into a trance. Placing one hand on the tome of divination and touching your temples with the other, you murmur, Pragma Biblia aperes tus chronos fenestra mystico. You cast your mind back in time, and the first image you see is that of your own hand pulling the tome of divination from the academy shelf. You push back and see your hand reverses and replace the tome on the shelf. Then, for a long time, you continue to push and nothing seems to happen. You pull back your view of the tome until you can see the dim artificial overhead light of the library. You push, and you notice that almost imperceptibly, the light gets slightly brighter as the less dust coats it. Finally, something cataclysmic seems to happen in your vision. In reverse, natural daylight floods into the library, and ancient librarians scramble around. This must be when the academy was pulled underground. You never noticed the skylight to the library. It must have been blocked by rock. You cease to push back further in time and listen to 2 ancient librarians who wear loose black robes under the tabards with the academy's insignia. Your knowledge of ancient history comes in handy for understanding their ancient dialect. My redison quod, venir por lobis. A younger librarian, a man, wails to the older. But why are they coming for us? We aren't even highly ranked. We're low-hanging fruit close to the border, the woman next to him says. They may even be able to retrieve all of our artifacts before the war is over. She begins pulling down texts from the shelves. Be thankful they see some value in preserving our treasures. Otherwise, we would all be dead in a single blast of negation. The younger librarian reaches for your divination tome, and the older bats his hand away. We're taking the important tomes, the senior librarian says. Just hold the books I hand you, would you? Should I get a book cart? The junior librarian says. No time, they'll be here soon. With both their hands are full, the senior librarian says, Quickly, to the air dock. You own an airship? The junior librarian says. We'll take that fool student Thayer's ship. Since he boasted about owning several. Let's go. The librarians leave all your own tomes untouched on the shelf. Apparently they never anticipated a world in which magic could completely disappear, making the introductory text the most valuable. You've learned a few things about ancient history from the scrying, but the whole experience has left you exhausted. You don't think you can divine anymore for a while. As you slump in your chair, you ask Bramf, why did you stay behind as everyone fled? Wasn't someone worried you'd be captured and given new instructions by the neighbors? Pula case, the Guardian says. Golem. See Magisterian's veneer. The Golem makes a gesture like an explosion. You would destroy the Academy and yourself to protect its treasures from the neighbors, you say, impressed. Bramf nods. Ceteri Dominix. But why didn't you destroy it to protect it from me, you ask? Bramf points to you. Na timidus debu. Not afraid of you. Well, that clears it up, thanks. Exhausted from your divinations, you rest. You're so involved in your magical pursuits that you don't really think to call your parents. So they decide to come to you. You recognize the drumroll-like knock of your father on the storm doors of your apartment. You quickly drape a sheet over Bramf and tell him not to say a word. You take his silence as acknowledgement. Your father greets you with a hug when you open the door. Ori! He's a construction worker, but he's always been more physically demonstrative than you would expect from someone in his profession. The hug he gets some sawdust on you. You didn't even say hello. We weren't sure whether some great Drake was munching on you like a big turkey leg. Rude, your mother sniffs in not quite agreement. She opens her arms expectantly. The convention, she wouldn't tell you, is that the child is supposed to hug the parent. You do. You always do. Even when she's at her most judgmental. You proceed to get sawdust on her frilly, shabby dress, which she wipes off with a tisk-tisk. Your father looks around your place. You've got some new stuff in here. So many books. My child is going to be the smartest in the kingdom at this rate. They've always been a clever child, your mother says in quiet satisfaction. You're a bit old to be called a child. Old enough to have children of your own, really, but you don't take the conversations down that well-worn path. The real question is, are you going to tell your parents you can cast spells now? Your parents are usually a bit traditional, and you've maintained peace with them so far by not revealing the extent of your infatuation with magic, which is entirely forbidden. Pretend my finds are purely of historical interest, admit to learning magic, but act like it isn't a big deal, solemnly explain that I have great power now, and things will necessarily change. I'm just gonna pretend it's other stuff. Like, I'm just reading. I'm still looking for real magic, though, you say, your voice quivering slightly since you're unused to lying to your parents. I found a lot of interesting things in this last expedition, but I'll never be a wizard at this rate. Well, perhaps that's for the best, your mother says, patting you on the shoulder. The Church Inquisitors do come around often, even here. Maybe you could become an auctioneer, your father suggests. You have enough items, he corrects himself. Auction items, whatever the fancy word for them is. Lots, dear, your mother says, ever attempting to expand your father's vocabulary. Yeah, lots, your father agrees. Lots and lots. Of lots, your mother says, unsure of whether her lesson stuck. Lots of lots, your father says, now clearly lost, but is trying to meet your mother's standards. I'll think about it, you say, to get the conversation back on the trail. As a first step, I'm going to sell a few things at the market tomorrow. Oh, could you pick up some eggs for me? Your mother says. Yeah, and I broke my measuring stick yesterday. I can't pick up one myself because I work all day, your father says. And so it goes. Honestly, your parents can't really imagine you as a powerful wizard regardless of how proud they are of you, so they're all too willing to believe your fib. You tell yourself this is for the best, even though perhaps you would have found it a relief to be able to share your secret with them. After your parents leave, you decide it's high time you visited the market to sell the random artifact you don't intend to keep. Colorful flags of different trading companies flutter in strong wind above the market square, which is bustling with activity this morning. Though Akritan is fundamentally a small town, it happens to be the only town for many miles on the north-south road that is closest to the negative sea on the eastern border. A fair number of traders bearing mundane goods such as grain, dyes, and cloth therefore stop in Akritan, as do monster hunters and treasure hunters offering hard-to-appraise finds from nearby ruins. The merchants mostly trade from impermanent tents open at only one side, but some wander through the crowd and act as their own auctioneers. Oh, give me 50 for a silver ring of this time of the ancients. 50, thank you. 55, 55. I have 55. The air is sweet with the smells of cinnamon and curry spices from the south and stinky cheese from the north. A copper-like haystack-like lump in the center of the market was once a tree sculpture in ancient times. but it was melted centuries ago by the roaming dragon's breath. It was always said to be good luck, and one of Mayor Cos's projects is to fundraise to restore the tree. You think selling magical items won't cause trouble for you this far from the capital, but many traders out here near the Negative Sea don't ask too many questions. At any rate, possessing magical artifacts is considered a far lesser sin than casting of spells. What will you buy or sell at the market? Well, I do want to sell stuff. I would like to sell my stuff first. That was the point. We got big turkey leg. Now let's sell something. Oh no, I don't want to sell any of that. What about hats? Hats only gives you suspicious look as you begin to examine their hats. You messed them up, you bought them. Oh, that's also very... I think I'll just keep my gold, to be honest. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep my gold. You decide you're done shopping now. Just you're about to head home, you hear fruit seller Fran cry, "Thief!" You spin around to see a man in drab brown clothing brazenly running off with a basket of red apples. Seeing a large gap in the offerings of Fran's fruit cart, he easily shoves aside the townfolk who are trying to get in his way. Fran uselessly shakes her walking stick at him while crowning, "Thief! Thief!" until she starts to lose her balance and leans on it again. "Thief!" she cries hoarsely. You think you can tell which horse at the corner of the market he's running to. He'll pass within 20 feet of you. The negation bust is probably out of the question, but you have other options. If you're subtle, you can cast something without attracting attention. I just don't want to attract attention. You prefer to keep a low profile now that you're a magic user. Certainly the best way to stop the man that you think of all involve magic. You watch the thief disappears into a nearby alleyway with the stolen basket of red apples. But the whole matter of the thief is quickly forgotten when a man down the street shouts, "Death Cloud." Looking down Main Street to the east, you see a dark purple and black cloud on the horizon. The cloud looks big, maybe as big as the town. Judging from the strong wind today, it may be here in less than an hour. It's not Accrington's first brush with a cloud of negative energy. Immediately the merchants break down their tents and many market patrons hurry to their houses and basements. Shutters snap all the way down the street. The animal shelters hastily bargain with landowners, then push their sheep through the storm doors and basements. A baby cries madly despite her mother's tense reassurances. Some people uproot flowers as they pass them. They'll be no good to anybody else soon enough. Since everyone will be sheltering soon, you could help the town out with some magic, but you think it will take some very powerful magic indeed to stop this cloud. Same thing. I don't really want to. This is simply a part of life for you, as it is for the rest of the town, and you're excited to return to your apartment to continue studying. You hurry home, close the storm doors behind you, and draw open a curtain of leaves that might absorb some negative energy as a last resort. Let's work on our... let's get our Rivermancy up to where automation is. You cozy up with your tome of Rivermancy and rapidly forget about the howling wind outside. Is that... yeah. The next day spent rebuilding and replanting, an effort which the whole town takes part in. You pitch in as well. The physical labor is good for you, as is getting to know your neighbors better. Townsfolk fix wooden gates that have been eaten through, dig up withered grass and plant new seed, and slaughter livestock that won't have enough to eat in the coming months. And then, as is traditional, there's a party the next day to celebrate everything the town still has. The market square is festooned with colored paper streamers lit with red, orange, and yellow. Glow bugs swarming around, illuminating the gathered townsfolk. A great hog carcass turns on a spit in the center of the square. You wonder whether it belonged to the swineherd who reportedly died in the cloud. The smell of cooking meat hangs thick in the air. The fiddler, a young person with spiky hair and ample piercings, plays a merry tune to entertain the people in the long line for food. An area to the side is cleared for dancing, and the many Accringtonians are already reeling through the tunnels of hands and do-si-doing around their partners. The fiddler finishes their song and everyone claps. Before they can start another, one woman sings loudly, "Who's got a lot of luck?" And the crowd around her sings back, "We do." The fiddler gamely accompanies Accrington's favorite song, "Who's got a lot of luck? We do. We got our loves, our friends, and you." The world is broken, but we've awoken to all our treasures true. We thought the world would end. Look now, we've got a lovely world, and how? Smiling faces and warm embraces will happen anyhow. Who's got a lot of luck? We do. Loved ones and good companions, true. If one starts again, the world should end. We'd start this song anew. What do you think of the crowd song? I like the theme of trying to stay cheerful amid sadness. It's oversimplified. People aren't never-ending fonts of cheer. Needs more cowbell. I think it's oversimplified. As long as we have each other, we'll be alright, right? Yeah, right, you think. People can be obnoxious, rude, self-centered, hurtful. The worst kind of people, you think, are their own walking disasters. The fiddle player goes back to improvising, and you spot Tal in the meat line, dressed in a dusty crimson tunic and wearing her purple stuffed monkey Noodles with his floppy arms tied around her waist. She sees you, smiles, and waves. You can hear what she says. You can't hear what she says to the man handing out the meat, but in response, he gives her an extra big slice of pork. Tal comes over and offers to sit with you. Are you going to eat the pork? Sure. Tal offers you some of her pork and you share. So, what have you been up to since we got back? You ask Tal. Got a hunt that's been giving me trouble, Tal says. Dodecapede, descending from the mountains to eat crops. I've tried twice now to follow it to its lair, but it's having 12 legs. Apparently makes you crazy fast for a climber. Follow the tracks into some mines and I lost the trail. She glances at you, then nudges you repeatedly. Wanna come? Offer to assist on the hunt free of charge. Offer to assist in exchange for half of the fee. Nah, I'll just come. I'd be happy to help you say. Free of charge. It's what friends are for. Tal gives a hug. Oh, thank you. I knew I could count on you. You know that Tal grew up poor, and she still constantly lends money to her mother that isn't always repaid. So she must be grateful you didn't ask for a share from the hunt. What have you been up to anyway? Tal asks. Actually, wait a minute. I think I know. You shrug. Yeah, exploring eldritch mysteries, peering to the heart of truth itself, and accumulating enough power to rule the world. You know, like you do. You say it in a low voice so only Tal can hear, and she giggles and gives you a scandalized look. You shouldn't joke, she says. There are a number of people in this town who would kill you for what you are. She nods, dancing. To the dancing, laughing people. You suppose she's technically right, but it's a little hard to believe at the moment. You notice that Tal has finished her plate. The fiddler's playing a peppy tune. Across the square, you see Mayor Koss greeting various townsfolk as he makes his way to the dance floor. The young mayor looks genuinely aggrieved as he goes from one townsperson to another, consoling people for their loss of their gardens and animals. You wonder about whether asking the mayor to dance might put him in better spirits. You always found him interesting and personable. Or maybe you prefer to dance with Tal. Or you suppose you could just animate Tal's favorite stuffed monkey Noodles for fun. Tal would probably like that. I'll just ask Tal to dance. Do you want to dance? You say, gesturing towards the couples who are dancing together and sort of towards the big line. Of course, Tal says. Two of you join the other romantic couples dancing near the fiddler. Who will lead? We'll goof around and both lead. Tal and you have never really been much for formality, and though you both look totally goofy and chaotic, as you try to spin each other, you simultaneously dip yourselves, giggling uncontrollably the whole time. You definitely have fun. The time passes quickly as you dance with Tal, and you think her subtle smile and sideways glances indicate she's interested in you. How far do you want to try to go with Tal? I mean, we don't know Tal very much. I'll just say I'm not interested in Tal that way. I just want to dance with her. As Tal looks at you expectantly, you quickly say, Thanks for the dance, Tal. It was fun. Oh yeah, fun, Tal says, momentarily confused by your mixed signals. What are friends for? Exactly, you say. Well, good night. Tal shrugs. Good night, my ever so mysterious friend. You part ways before things go any further. You just weren't feeling it, and you didn't want to lead Tal on. Someone out there is right for you, but Tal's just a good friend. Across the square, you see Mayor Koss shaking hands with various townsfolk. His bright orange tunic makes it easy to find him in a crowd. Koss's spectacles give him a scholarly air, but he has a ready, friendly smile. His belt is overburdened with various pouches and tools hanging from it, including a book pouch, a sheath for pens, lockpicks, and a bag of dice. How do you know Koss besides as the mayor? We once worked together replanting after a death cloud came through. we're in a band together before as the mayor. We sometimes fly kites together in the commons. We fly kites together. You've always had a fascination with the Eternal Storm, partly because you thought it held the key to understanding automation magic. You designed kites that would soar ever higher, bearing metal lightning rods in the hopes that you might learn something about the Eternal Storm if one were struck. At a certain point, your designs plateaued, and you were unable to reach the height you desired without strong winds sending your kite crashing to the ground. But around that time, Kosk came by, and as you were flying the kite over the commons. At first, you started reeling in your kite with embarrassment, hoping he didn't understand your motive. But as you did so, Kosk said, "You could consider a tail. They add stability." You stopped reeling and stared at the mayor in surprise. "I mean, you could also get rid of the metal bar, but I assume that's on purpose," Kosk said. "It's not all bad. You've got a diamond pattern to the kite. Very reliable. Good choice." You some kind of kite expert, you asked? "I'm still here. I'll just be listening or playing." That's fine. Like I said, we're going to finish this chapter, and then we're going to raid out. So if people can start looking for raid targets. I just don't know how long this is going to last. Kosk laughed. "I'm not an expert in anything, but I'm an enthusiast of many things. Here, I'll meet you tomorrow, and I'll try building a kite without your metal bar, just to see how far we might go in theory." From that point forward, Kosk flew kites alongside you, always trying out new experimental designs. If they worked well, you found a way to incorporate the ideas into your own kites. Eventually, your kites started flying high enough to be struck repeatedly by lightning from the Eternal Storm. And when you took down copious notes, Kosk seemed to politely ignore the fact that you were extremely interested in the legacy of the ancients. In fact, he kept helping. Perhaps Kosk can understand what it's like to be really excited about a subject. Perhaps Kosk can actually understand you. He spots you and makes his way toward the crowd. "Ori," he says, "I was just looking for you. I've been thinking about your request for a professional name, and I've assembled a list of tasks in town would like done, and anyone could lead to a profession. Could lead to a professional calling endorsed by the town. Just stop by my office in the next couple of days. I'll have the details there." Is there anything you'd like from the mayor this evening? I want to see how much people know about me. Mayor Kosk, have you heard any odd rumors about me lately? You ask. "Oh, why do you ask?" "You're so stunned you managed to keep such a low profile." No reason," you stammer. Mayor Kosk has been pulled away by a number of people clamoring for his attention, but at least you can rest assured you've managed to keep a low profile so far. The party begins to wind down, and where there were once a great crowd, small groups chat with one another. Ladles come and empty from the wine jugs, and the butcher's in his pit packing up his knives, getting ready for another early day tomorrow. It occurs that you could still perform one tiny miracle for the townsfolk before you turn the night in. Are you tempted? No. You've never really been much of a party person. This party seems to be going fine anyway. You head home and manage to reread a good 2 chapters of ancient history before nodding off to sleep. You wake up the next morning groggy, having stayed up later than you intended. "Bon morn, Dominix," your golem intones from the corner. "Good morning," you say. You head to Tal's place to embark on the hunt you agreed to. You and Tal travel north to the Crown Mountains, where snow from the past winter is still gradually melting into the river's mammals. It is 3 days' ride to the feet of the mountains where your quarry was last seen munching farmers' crops. You travel without animals since they couldn't follow you into the mountains. You hunt the decapade, a shaggy white-haired 12-legged mammal bred by ancients as the beast of the burden for the mines. Tal's looks rather like a giant, elongated Pekingese dog. The dodecapade's tracks are no great feat to spot. Each depression is nearly 2 feet wide, leading very evenly up the hill through new fallen snow. Tal assures you that it's not as big as it appears. The beast knows to step in its own tracks and widens them that way. You're reasonably certain you could take down this beast with your Lux Gladius and no other magical whatsoever, but you could take this opportunity to try something new instead. Define a beast with my Lux Gladius and have. Yeah, let's just do that. You decide this is a good opportunity to practice your swordplay and teamwork with Tal. Once you follow the tracks to an entrance of the abandoned mine, that is the beast lair, you hide with Tal behind a large bank of snow and wait for the beast to emerge. As you wait, Tal describes to you the many scenarios you can encounter for this fight, and it is interesting to hear her lay out all the different tactical situations. Hours later, you hear the giant dog-like creature's many footfalls echo through the mine, and slowly emerge from the entrance. When it's halfway out, you draw your Lux Gladius and charge. You, Tal, show the same degree of coordination flash that you displayed on the dance floor. Your Lux Gladius sears black gashes in the creature's side and underbelly. Tal goes under the beast and begins attacking it from the other side, and it seems to be unable to scratch at both of you at the same time. You and Tal become positively covered in blood, but the plan works, and the beast sags to the ground, dead. Tal removes the head as a trophy to bring back to her clients. You also search the mine and find enough gold nuggets for a hefty bonus for you and Tal. You meet up with Tal's clients, all grizzled farmers at the tavern back in town. Tal produces a bloody head of the Dodecapades from a large sack, which silences the tavern as anybody returns to stare. But the farmers cheer and clap, and Tal receives the reward and is pleased. Since you and Tal are both tired from your travels and hunt, you part ways with a few words and go to bed a little early. Between your excitement at your discoveries from the Sunken Academy, the unexpected arrival of negative cloud energy, as well as Tal's invitation in the hunt, you've been delaying your decision about your relationship with the town. When you were younger, you imagined becoming an official town wizard. You still have hope that if the town people saw everything you could do for them, people might set aside their superstitions about magic, but perhaps that is naive. What would your relationship to the town be? I prefer to be quietly helpful. I prefer to be a quiet benefactor. You aren't certain people are ready for a public town wizard. Better you think to do good deeds from the shadows and hope the right people notice. But we try to serve the town in a discreet way. We'll repair the town's fans. So I know some thugs that are terrorizing the town. I'll find and blow up their base. No. I'll repair the town's fans protections from the next negative cloud. Maybe. To find the identity of the leader of the Twilight Band, the vigilantes who persecute shapeshifters. That seems like it would cause significant issues. Use 5 minutes to create new crops to replace those destroyed by negative cloud, and with glamour up, go door to door raising funds in the copper tree. Now, let's do the fans. You think of the frightening devastation caused by the negative energy's cloud passage through town. If you can put a stop to that by repairing some of the fans, sounds like a great thing to do. You recall playing on the town's ancient fans as a child. 5 rusty rotary fans, each about 30 feet tall, sit at 45-degree angles on the eastern perimeter of the town. The metal frames dividing them made for excellent slides. You did some research about the fans and found that they were never magical themselves, but they were instead created about 1600 years ago, during a resurgence of popularity in a mechanical engineering called the Flourishing. But the Flourishing ended when the church accused prominent engineers of being automation witches, and the art of creating these marvels was lost again. The sheltered area beneath the fans, where gears may have once been, appears to have been stripped bare long ago. Perhaps the fan blades were left behind because they were so rusty. You pull a hammer and chisel and some vials of silver powder from your belt pouch and begin inscribing runes on the blade fans to power their rotation. You take your time crafting the runes, wondering whether you could have ever done this with a death cloud approaching. With no time, you can focus on your craft. Finally, the runes are ready to be powered with lightning. You raise a hand to the sky. Libellum ignis viviscat item. Lightning strikes 5 times in a row, 1 for each fan, crackling down the length of each blade. The silver runes glow and the blade fans slowly begin to spin, gradually gaining speed until your hair is blown straight back and you need to squint into all the dust. Do you want to test the fan's power to disperse negative energy clouds? We'll just make an extra torch. You light a torch that is coated with a very special resin to make it smokily, which you procured from the market for this purpose. When you hold this very smoky torch in front of the fans, nearly instantly the flame goes out and the smoke dissipates. Seems like success. And you still have some of the torch's resin to study at home, so you can learn more about its fascinating relationship to negative energy. You walk back into town with a spring in your step, confident that your repair was a success. That worked out fairly well. Later in the day, after you've already returned to your reading Tomes of Magic, you get a knock on the door. It's Mayor Koss. He signals that he'd like to speak with you with the door shut, so you close the storm doors. Listen, some people saw you cast that spell on the fans east of town, Koss says. I was wondering whether you might be willing to take on similar odd jobs for the town? You don't mean in an official capacity, you say, do you? You say. You hesitate to say, as a town wizard, even though Koss clearly thinks you're a magic user. Koss shakes his head. No, he says. But, you know, there were some jobs of sensitive nature where you have one public title and another real title. So for Queen Spies, for example, besides Spy Master Dull, they can't be Spy so-and-so. Yeah, you say, flushing as if you realize where this is headed. I want you to be Aquitain's town wizard, in secret, Koss says. I want you to work for me, like what you've done, and I really want you to be on the town's payroll, quietly. What do you say? What kind of arrangement would you like to work out with Mayor Koss? You must publicly recognize me as the town's wizard. It won't be some shameful secret. Accept Koss's offer to become the secret town wizard. I'll do what I think is best. If the mayor likes it, thank you. Gifts are appreciated. I'll accept the offer to be the town secret wizard. I'll take your offer of secret employment. Excellent, Koss says. Now, what would you like to have as your cover? Apothecary, Cooper, Hunter, Scribe. I'll make up something else. I'll be the apothecary. What about apothecary, Ori? You ask. Yeah, that's good, Koss says. Apothecaries are always looking for strange ingredients, so they're seen as nothing peculiar anyway. That's a great idea. With that, you agree to be a secret wizard for the town. You hold one title. Hey, Soundbite, how's it going? How are you doing today? You'll hold one title in public, but in truth, you'll be serving the town with your spells. You can hardly wait. The mayor hands you advance in the form of a pouch of gold. Gain 200 gold. The first of many, I hope. Having settled the manner of your official relationship to Koss, you both hesitate a little, neither one saying goodbye. Koss speaks first. Are you busy tonight? Why, you ask. From the way he said it, you don't think he's talking about official business. You're interesting, Koss says. I'm alive and shit. I'm doing okay. I'm doing alright. I've had a lot of stuff going on, but I'm alright right now. You're interesting, Koss says. I know a lot of interesting people, but you're very interesting. And I guess I want to show you I'm interesting too. Sounds like a date, you point out. That's the subtext, yes. But it can be very casual. Board games at my place, or just a walk somewhere. I mean, I'm not really interested in the mayor romantically either. Koss says disappointed. Well, it didn't hurt to ask, I suppose. You bid each other good night. He seems a little surly now. You hope you haven't jeopardized your official relationship with him. Time will tell, you suppose. I mean, like, I ain't... Oh, well, it's a bad relationship. Well. Oh, well. You spend the next day doing simple errands around town, getting food and purchasing another bookshelf to help accommodate all your new stuff.
Become.
Thank you for the hydrate. I appreciate it. It will become it the moist. You spend the next day doing simple errands around town, getting food and purchasing another bookshelf to help accommodate all your new stuff. You congratulate yourself on your ability to pass among the people of the town largely unnoticed. You're still another person in town, your secret safe. You have to wonder what secrets the other townsfolk are carrying around. Is it possible everyone holds that would boggle their fellow townsfolk? It's when you're out on the shopping trip. It's when you're out on this shopping trip that you first hear the rumor that some inquisitors are coming to town. You've managed to keep a low profile for now, but you wonder what will happen when you start snooping around. So that's going to be the end of chapter 2. I'll add this to the schedule for the week. My schedule's a little bit more open than it was previous weeks. Schedule will be out today or tomorrow once I figure out the times from Yeti after he's done coaching. But I do appreciate everybody for stopping by. Do we have a raid target? Do we have someone we would like to raid? Is there anyone we would like to raid out to? I know Plate's live, but again, the vibe's very different over there. So I mean, if you guys are fine with that, we can. Or if you'd like to find someone new, or if someone has a suggestion. Let's see, Blue Protocol, Infinity, Nikki, Ghost of Yote, add a Gallus code. All right, Community, it's up to you. Pick one. You gave me 2 suggestions. Pick one. Bitsy. Okay, well now you got 3 people. Now you gotta still pick one. You got 3 people. You gotta pick one. You have. You've given me too many options. Shiver. We can do Shiver. That's fine. We'll do Shiver. All right, I'm gonna be rating you guys out over to Shiver Boy. They're playing Minecraft. They're a fun time. I've been around their streams a couple of times. But yeah. Nope, you've decided. Not, I don't know, you've decided. But as always, I really appreciate you stopping by. If you're not in the Discord and you're interested in joining the Discord, I'll put exclamation point Discord in. Come join us at the Space Platoon. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of good conversations. Currently, it's a lot about Vocaloid stuff. Thank you for the stream. Thank you for stopping by. I really do appreciate it. Next, like I said, this will be back next week. So we have Coffee Talk and this next week. We have some other stuff planned. So getting all that figured out, I'm going to make the schedule tonight or tomorrow morning. But again, I appreciate you stopping by. Please show them how great of a chat you are. You guys are great to me, so please be great to them as well. Again, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so, so much. And seriously, thank you. And I hope you have a good day. And now you get to watch me sit here awkwardly because I don't feel like switching over to my different screens. Damn, no full out Bulba. Damn, that sucks, Bulba. But hey, you have fun.